Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson here with my co-host, producer extraordinaire, the beautiful Jade Harrell. What's up, Jade? How are you today?
What's up, Shawn? I am encouraged.
I like that. Tell me about it.
So I am so energized and encouraged that I had to mesh those two together.
Yes, energized and encouraged. Encouragement is important.
Yes, it is.
You know, we all need a little bit of that from time to time.
Yes, you
Absolutely,
do.
Absolutely.
So I want to encourage you.
Well, thank you.
I'm hoping
you're
it,
encouraging me to do the show today. So I'm not going to leave. We're going to do this.
Don't go anywhere.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. We've got an incredible show lined up for you guys. A good friend of mine, somebody very, very special in this field, is going to be on to rock the house. Before we get into the interview, first going to give a shout out to our amazing show sponsor, Onnit.com.
Head over to. I'm doing this?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
My alpha brain.
Alpha brain.
Is on fire.
Alpha. Not beta brain. Alpha brain.
Baby.
Head over to onnit.com/model and you're going to get 10% off all of your health and human performance supplements. We're huge fans of the Hemp Force protein. Sure. The Alpha Brain is their flagship product. Clinically proven nootropic, which again, we're going to talk about soon here on the show.
Whatever clinic, it's working at the Harrell house, okay?
So definitely there to help you to be sharper, to really help to enhance your memory, all that good stuff. Clinically proven to work. So really cool stuff there. So check out the Alpha Brain if you've got a lot of stuff going on in your life, which you probably do, to show up as your best self. But of course, the nutrition, food first, they've got some amazing foods. We tend, especially when I'm traveling, I bring this stuff along with me. The Trilogy butter.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know about that Trilogy butter.
Yes, I do.
Oh, you know about it?
Yes, I do.
So they're combining.
I know it doesn't last long in our house.
Right. The best nut butters together in one delicious jar of goodness.
It's ridiculous.
I would think that little elves made it. But I know the people that work at On, I did not see any elves.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I was driving in today, actually, I was thinking about how we ingest things and how important that is. But it's not just what we, in our, this weird kind of tube that we have that determines whether or not our body absorbs anything from our mouth to our, to Uranus, basically.
To mine,
right?
not yours.
No, that's weird. Now, Siamese twin, no. But basically from your mouth to your anus, you've got this tube that you put food into and hopefully that ends up where it needs to go. But that's not the only way. And that's the kind of way that traditional medical looks at what our bodies are doing. When you're putting something in your mouth, that's how it gets absorbed into your body. But our skin eats as well. So that coconut oil from Onnit, of course, I use today, put on my skin, make it look good. But, you know, your skin eats. And so the things that you put on your skin really does matter. You know, are you putting something that has 5 million, different ingredients on there? Or are you not putting things on your skin that's going to help to actually add more to your health strategy?
Sure.
And so your skin eats, but also we ingest things other ways as well, via our lungs and breathing. And even we can inhale some different substances that people would probably know about, for example, in our common culture, to get stuff into our body that way as well. But so it's not just what you eat, it's also what you breathe. It's also what you put on your skin. And I was thinking about when I had that example, like, is this, who's an example that everybody would know about with ingesting something through your nose? And I thought about the movie Scarface, which is wildly inappropriate. It's like, another kilo, she be back, and it's just like, slow down, because he did a lot of drugs and that was so inappropriate. But it's understanding that what you breathe in adds to your physical structure as well, and it influences your body. So we want to make sure that we're breathing high quality air as much as possible.
That's right.
And, for a lot of us that live in a city atmosphere, our concrete jungles, there are different things that you can do. Even, there's ions in the air. We talk about this in Sleep Smarter. The ions in the air that should have a negative charge that are more invigorating for your body, they start to become stale in a strange way. All right. So we want to energize that air, simply turning on a fan or opening a window, or you can get even these air ionizers, which funny enough, I learned about from Tristan's good friend, Peter Ragnar. We've had on one of my favorite episodes of all time about the air ionizers. And so there are different things that you can do to improve your air quality. So we want to be aware of that. It's not just you are what you eat. So you are what you eat, drink, breathe, think, and do. Remember that always. Onnit.com/model for the good stuff. Head over and check them out. Let's get into the iTunes review of the week.
Yes. This one is great. Another 5-star rating. It says, killing it with the positive energy, nutrition, and self-help. When you can listen to a podcast and feel trickles of oxytocin. The hosts are clearly doing something right. Shawn and Jade are bringing the power and knowledge to important topics and have helped me become more mindful with my day-to-day grind. I can honestly say that you both bring happiness into my life. Immediately after I listen to shows and afterwards when I employ the knowledge you share and emulate the perspectives you hold, be well.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing
I
that.
appreciate that very much.
Yes. Thank you.
I posted that when you put up the post about the 4 million downloads and how powerful that was.
Yeah.
That, how we bring our whole hearts to this.
Yes.
to this work each week, and to know that you're feeling that personally, that happiness we're truly sending to you through these airwaves and through the video.
That's
so
powerful.
it means the world to us.
This is a team, like all of us. It's team us,
Yeah,
really.
team model health, baby.
Thank you guys so much for being a part of this, and thank you so much for leaving those reviews on iTunes. I truly, truly appreciate it. So now let's get into our show and our special guest.
Bring him on.
I'm going to share his short bio because he's going to share more of his superhero origin story with us today.
Okay.
And he actually was on one of the very early episodes of the Model Health Show. He's on episode 20, which we'll put in the show notes. And that episode just crushed it. So many people got on board with one of the things he's going to talk about today. And I've received messages all the time still today. And this was going on, and maybe it's 2 years ago now, but it's super powerful, and he's just remained a good friend and somebody in my life that I truly admire. And so his name is Tristan Truscott, and he has 30 years of experience in 3 core disciplines, namely martial arts, natural healing, and meditation. Additionally, he has over 25 years teaching these arts at one of the largest transformational studios in Austin, Texas, one of my favorite places as well. It's the Satori Method Academy, and his programs are outstanding. I'm an avid consumer and student for sure, and I'd like to welcome to the Model Health Show my good friend Tristan. How you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing so good, y'all, from Texas. You guys have so much swag, I gotta tell you. You got such swag. It's awesome being back. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure. I appreciate the notice of the swagaliciousness that we have, man. I appreciate it.
Well, my people are from Texas, so howdy to you too.
Okay, guys. All right. Take your cowboy boots off. All right. Not on the carpet. All right. So, Tristan, my man, of course, it's always great talking with you. But, some of our audience has not heard from you before. So can you tell us a little bit about your backstory and what brought you into martial arts and eventually leading to the qigong and the other things that you have employed in your life?
Sure. Okay, well, little boy transported from England, grew up kind of scared. Mom and dad got divorced. There was a lot of drama and trauma around that. Mom was amazing, brought me and my sister to America. Yeah. Everything was just big and colorful and loud, and I was quiet and shy, and we needed to fix this. So I'm living in Malibu, I'm learning how to surf, and I'd always wanted to learn martial arts. Thankfully, my mom and my new dad, my stepdad, they agreed, gave me the A-OK, and we had a Chuck Norris martial artist in Malibu, California, Mr. Bob Burbage, and he was a 3-time international champion, and he was strong, and he was powerful, and he was also very kind and compassionate. And so he invited me into his dojo, and I started training under this man, and I learned how to let go of that shy boy and step into becoming a young man. And I got really strong, I got really tough, and I got my black belt. About 100 of us went through this training, and 3 of us made it to the black belt. So I felt very privileged, and he had given me this discipline. I think it's a beautiful thing to have in this life is focus and the ability to stay the course. It's one of the big things that I'm always trying to help inspire in other people. It's just stay the course and develop that discipline of love. I got the black belt, but there was an interesting thing. Even though there was this shy little boy that had his own fears and stress, a lot of problems started showing up in my body, things that we now know today as psychosomatic. So on the outside, I had this strong stoic thing going on, but at the deeper, more repressed level, there was still that shy boy inside there, and he was still very stressed out. So my palms would sweat. I couldn't talk to a girl. I just my brain would go, I was freaked out, very self-conscious. I would grind my teeth at night. I had a lot of stress, migraine headaches as a kid. And so that's what put me on the path of the natural healing. And I met a gentleman named Dr. Richard Schultz. We used to call him Sensei Cayenne. Some of you probably know about this guy. He's an amazing healer, and he used a lot of cayenne products to heal his body. He had a heart condition. He became a mentor, and he told me, he said, Tristan, the problem isn't here. You can use the herbs, you can do the cleansing, and that's all very powerful, and you need it. But the real battle lies within. And that's what's causing the stress. And that's why you can be tough on the outside, but still scared on the inside. So he sent me down a path of meditation. That's what he told me I needed to do. And I knew he was right. He gave me the basics of it. I went and found a meditation training. And I just went deep, deep into that. The yoga, later it was the qigong, and many, many things happened. But that's sort of the backstory. And then there's the injury backstory that we could talk about at some point.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that, because a lot of people listening, of course, know my story and the tremendous struggle that I went through. And it was so interesting about back pain is that, especially when it first happens, it's like you look normal. You're just kind of sitting in a chair like, what's wrong with you? But it's really because it's this internal battle, and your spine, there's everything about you is running through that superhighway, from your digestion to your heart to obviously your pain signals. And so it's a kind of tremendous struggle that a lot of people suffer with silently, and nobody really understands until it happens. And I remember when people would, when I was younger and I would hear, it's like, oh, it's my back, I've got back problems. Like, man up, what are you doing? It's just your back, but I little did I understand that so much was running through that pathway. And so breaking that, in that connection, in that energy, in that flow can really put us down in a major way. And so Tristan had a similar experience. And so can you go ahead and share a little bit about what happened and what helped to turn it around for you? Because today you're able to do all kinds of stuff that, a person with the struggles you went through definitely couldn't foresee ever being able to do in their lifetime.
Yeah, I'd love to share the story, because it's become a big part of my message and my journey in this life is to help encourage and inspire people out of pain, whether it's obviously physical pain that we deal with, or mental, emotional pain. That's a big part of having any kind of injury or illness, is it affects your whole psychology.
Yes.
It shuts you down. You lose your identity. And that's what happened to me. I was this, tough martial artist, and I got the meditation part down now from all the yoga training. And I started to incorporate meditation into my martial art practice and my dojo, my students, and we were using it the way I believe it was originally intended. If you go back and you trace the martial arts to its origins, you find that there were monks, there were people in the Shaolin temple that were working on mastery. They were working on going beyond fear and reactivity and the egoic aspect of the mind, and they were moving into compassion and love through this strong process. So that was happening in my life, and I felt on fire and on purpose. Life was pretty simple. Meditate, do martial arts, pay it forward. And I would wear these suits, like full body armor suits, because I wanted my students, especially children that were getting bullied and girls going off to college or starting to drive for the first time, and their parents were a little worried that, hey, look, my daughter's vulnerable. She needs to be strong. She needs to know what to do. So I figured, okay, I'll train with the best of the best military, law enforcement guys, and learn to simulate attacks and assaults and create scenarios and wear these suits and let them beat the what out of me, so that I knew that they had the emotional and the physical confidence, should, God forbid, anything ever happen, they could survive that situation. And I loved doing that for them. So week after week, month after month, years of doing this, my body took a beating. What was interesting about the meditation stuff, and I think we do this in a multitude of ways, but I started to shut down my signals between my brain and my body. What I mean by that is I felt a lot of pain. I've messed up every joint, and every muscle in my body has been tweaked, but I would use my meditation to go beyond the pain, to basically ignore it so I could keep doing my work. And I think maybe we do that with stimulants, maybe drugs, maybe with just being distracted, not focusing on the signals that are trying to let you know, heads up, something's off. Sort of like the light on your dashboard of your car goes on and it's a red light and it's like, hey, dude, check under the hood. And you're like, well, I'm really busy right now. I got this thing to do. Let me go under the dash and cut the wire. Oh, okay, good. I fixed it. And that's not a good idea. And that's what I was doing, is I was ignoring the pain. And it got to the point that I literally messed up my back so bad teaching a self-defense class remember showing a knee strike to a group of ladies,
Hmm.
and it was the weirdest thing. I did the movement. I was okay. You know, I had pain, but I took a couple of steps. Boom. I just fell flat on the floor. And no matter what I tried to do to get up and stand up and walk, no way, Jose, I couldn't. And this went on for 5 years. So
Wow.
it was a long ride. There was a lot of pain. They carried me out of the dojo that night. And then I just went on to the alternative circuit, trying everything, you know, whether it was chiropractics, which I actually couldn't do at first, massage therapy, herbs, acupuncture, eventually hydrotherapy in the water, hanging upside down when I could, the inversion therapy, cortisone shots, prolotherapy, and you name it. I just tried all this stuff, and I'm sure viewers and listeners know how many things are out there, and you're wondering sometimes, like, why isn't this fixing it?
Yes.
You know, well, the thing was, I was looking for a physical solution to physical pain. And if you get the right modality and it is a mechanical thing, then most likely you will be fixed. But what I've discovered over this journey and sharing this backstory is that we have more than just a physical situation going on. We actually have another body. We have an energy body, and we know we have a conscious thinking mind that affects our body. And we have that deeper mind that the little boy had that was still shy and scared, my subconscious mind. So I had some old blueprints that were still going on with internal stress, and then I had some energy stuff going on. So it was sort of a map that I had to figure out.
Incredibly powerful story. I mean, you know, and there's so much to glean from that example too. And I know he shared before about even teaching classes while basically sitting in a chair and just really having a complete 180 in his reality. And to be able to come out on the other side and also knowing what he knows, he did so many things. You know, he tried seemingly everything, but this is something, another call out for all of us, and to look into our hearts where we say, I've tried everything.
Right.
Have you really? You know, because a lot of times we say that we try like 3 things. You know, there's so much more opportunity in this vast universe to find solutions. But ultimately, usually it has something to do, well, not usually, all the time, with that psychosomatic connection, with that internal connection, you know, that dialogue. Every physical ailment has an emotional component.
Yeah.
For certain, you know, and this is getting back to what integrative medicine is, what holistic medicine is. And the word is getting kind of fancy in our media today, and we're losing track of what it means. It just means whole person.
Exactly.
And all of you, your emotions matter. We've talked about this many times on the show, and how your emotions literally create physical symptoms. Just your thoughts. How powerful is that?
Right.
What if you change your thinking, you know, and change some of the things you're doing as a result of your thinking in your lifestyle and in your movement? And this is one of the things that led Tristan to uncovering a big solution. So can you share what that was? What were some of the things that you utilized in your process of getting well and being the person you are today?
Well, you kind of heard the multitude of things I was trying, and I really did hit that rock bottom. So I can relate to anybody who's feeling like throwing in the towel, because that's what happened to me. You're going on 3+ years of just pain. You start to lose your identity. I certainly did, as this strong, healthy martial art black belt sensei teacher. Now I'm a burden. I feel like a burden on my friends. I'm broken and I'm broke, because you spend so much money on all these medical treatments, or whatever it is that you're investing in, trying to fix whatever the situation is. You can feel like you're at your end of that rope. And I remember one specific day in my bedroom, trying to get to the bathroom, and I was crawling on the floor because it was just in so much physical pain. I couldn't walk, and I needed to go to the bathroom. And I'm crawling on the floor, and you just have that moment where you're like, this is my life now?
Right.
I mean, I don't think I want to do this a whole lot more. In fact, I don't know if I want to be here tomorrow. And I'd never had a thought like that. It scared me. And of course, I don't want to end my life. I would never want to do that to my family or to my friends, or to take this opportunity away. But I just felt like I don't know what else to do now. And what happened is, it's sort of like a moment of grace, right? Where you have to surrender to something bigger than yourself. At least that's what happened for me. And I made a deal with the divine. It's exactly what I did. I said to that, whatever you want to call that, source of all that is, if I can be healed, I will do everything. I will use the rest of my life to pay this forward and help other people get out of pain. And that was a defining moment, because up until then it was all about Tristan trying to fix Tristan. It was
Yeah.
still me being in control. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's a small window that you get to go through. It's just you. And now all of a sudden the window opened up really big. And I think if anybody listening to this is into energy, I think my energy shifted, because now it wasn't about me taking care of me so much. It was like, how could I use this to help others?
Yes.
And I think that's what opens things up in life for more opportunity to come to you. It certainly gave me a sense of purpose in the dark night of the soul, when you need it the most. I heard my karate teacher's voice in my mind. And remember, he was a Chuck Norris black belt. He was a tough guy. And he used to yell at us in class, "You show me a quitter, I'll show you a loser." And it's a tough pill to swallow, but in that moment, sometimes you need to hear that. Don't you quit, right? Stay the course. But he also used to say something really beautiful. He'd work us out to exhaustion. He'd have us lay on our back, and he'd dim the lights, and he'd walk around the room, and he would say, "There's a beautiful and powerful energy inside each and every one of you. All you have to do is learn how to tap into it. A beautiful and powerful energy inside each and every one of you. You just need to learn how to tap into it." Now, remember, he was like a fighter, and he didn't teach me about these internal energies, but I got put on the path of figuring that out. And so I'm laying on the floor making this deal with the divine, and hearing my karate teacher tell me there's a powerful energy. So I'm reaching out for the energy. And so what was very amazing, and the shift that I wanted to get to, is about 2 weeks after saying, "Help me," I'm in my Jeep with my handicap sign, and I get to a local supermarket here, so Whole Foods, right? And they have those big billboards with all the flyers for all the different cool stuff
Right.
going on, alternative. And there's a flyer, and this is a sign, as a sign, the art of qigong. It was a workshop, and I had always, this is a technical word, poo-pooed the qigong and the tai chi and the stuff you would see people doing in the park. It was so fluid and pretty and gentle. I was used to, like, yeah, I'll show you how to break something.
Yeah.
We do it with this physical power. So I had judged that, but not anymore. At this point in the vulnerability, and maybe in there's an inner knowing that gets activated. Something inside said, you need to investigate that. And I remembered my karate teacher's voice. There's a powerful energy inside you. You need to learn how to tap into it. And qigong means energy work. It's the art of working with your personal energy, or what we call your life force. And the Chinese call your qi, and the Japanese call it the ki, and the yogis call it prana. So I went to that, Shawn, and I took most of that workshop lying on the floor. I was still that jacked up, but I could get up for a little while, and I would do some of the movements. So qigong is like moving meditation.
Yes.
You're flowing your physical body. There are gentle stretches. You're breathing. You're also using your mind. This is really important, because you're visualizing something, an energy. We'll talk about that a little bit more, I guess, as we go. But I felt something. I felt something good. I felt like things inside were going tick, 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 tick. Like you talked about that information highway
Right.
between the body and the brain. I felt like something was being corrected between the signals in my brain and the results in my body. That was the wire that I had cut before, and the blueprints were stuck. They just kept creating the same physical problem: psychosomatic, psychosoma, mind, body. All of a sudden, it started to get rewired, and I felt better. So I asked the teacher after class, who was visiting from China, if I could be a private student, because I think it's important to get trained and coached by the best people we can find, right? And so he said yes, and that's what I did. I ran it up the flagpole, and I trained qigong with him every week. I would go back to my little studio, and I would work on the craft. And what I did was I took all the things he showed me, and I tried to figure out how to apply them to me in a Western friendly fashion, something that was digestible, not too out there, not so esoteric. It made more sense, and I started studying more the science behind what was going on. And I had a healing, brother. I had a healing. I figured out how to use my mind to send the energy through my body into the area where they'd had the surgery, the poking, the prodding, all the shots, that was just so locked up. I couldn't even feel my left leg. It was totally numb. That's why I couldn't walk properly. all this energy flushed down through my body into my leg and started tingling in the bottom of my foot. And I just started bawling because it was the first time I knew I could now be healed.
Yeah.
And within 2 months of keep doing this training, I was back in my dojo teaching again.
Yes.
That
Wow.
is phenomenal.
Such a
We
great
gotta
story.
give
Yeah,
it
she's
back.
clapping it
Yeah.
up. But, you know, to know that someone like yourself, who I know, that had a handicap sticker on their vehicle because of the difficulties that you had is really, really just out of this world to even realize that that's even possible. But this is an important call. There's so many different pieces here. But number one, you know, you've got to understand there's a mindset behind it as well that helped. And he kept mentioning that along the process, hearing his coach's words, you know, who is the level 3 Chuck Norris black. This reminds me, too, of, you know, there's all those Chuck Norris memes out there. You know how you have like a near-death experience? Well, there's one that said, one time, death had a near Chuck experience, right? Because he's, you know, he's just bad, you know, he's bad to the bone. But just understanding that that's the paradigm that Tristan was coming from. But so many great teachers in that field implement, you know, especially if they're coming from the traditional side, the Tai Chi or the qigong into their overall practice. And actually the guy who I was getting trained, you know, personally from, you know, multiple big time Kung Fu champion, all these different tournaments. He's got all these trophies, but he's the most unsuspecting guy, small guy you'd ever meet. And he was, he taught me Qigong. We used to practice at where you go with my mother-in-law to the Creve Coeur Park. And it was so weird. At first, of course, I'm just like trying to just focus on being there, being present and learning and really soaking it all in. But eventually, like, we would do some of the practices. It sounds bananas, but like animals would come closer to us, you know, like I felt like I was in a scene from Bambi one time, you know, it's just like, and I'm just thinking to myself, is this happening? Like, what's going on with this, you know, even this talk of energies, because I'm a very analytical person, but we all know this, that there are things in our life that we can't explain. You know, and there's things that are greater than we could even imagine. The power that we have, the connection we have to all of this stuff, just to, you know, the small things that happen in our life that we ignore. Like, you think about somebody you haven't thought about in a while, you end up seeing them at the grocery store, or they give you a call, or somebody texts you, and you have the thought beforehand, what's going on there? You know, and we're really wired up to be connected. And we're connected to this, whether we understand it or not. And the more we can get in tune with that, and this is why I appreciate Tristan's work so much with the meditation and the Qigong, because it helps us to get tuned into something greater. And plus, you get the benefits clinically proven. This is what I want to talk about a little bit now before I have him rock the mic some more. But I talked about in Sleep Smarter some of the great studies surrounding Qigong for improving your sleep quality. And so there was one, and this was in the Journal of Health Psychology, and they published a study demonstrating that daily Qigong for just 1 month was enough to increase sleep duration and other factors of what they called psychological well-being, the different things that they monitored. There was another study in the International Journal of Neuroscience, very prestigious journal here, that found that a 6-week Qigong practice improved the sleep quality and walking ability of patients with Parkinson's disease.
Wow.
Right? So those are just a couple, and we'll talk more about this, but this isn't something to just pass over. Pooey. I haven't heard that since like childhood cartoons, but just really understanding that there's something really powerful, and it's taking on a practice like this on a regular basis and of course, we can get into the mobility factor. We can get into the activation of our parasympathetic nervous system, because that's what it's really doing. Okay. You know, we're getting out of that constant fight or flight, sympathetic boom, boom, boom dominance and turning on something more powerful. And I know this is something, Tristan, that you've seen working with other people, not just yourself as well.
So true, man. We live in a freaking crazy world today, I believe. You know, information overload, technological overload, smartphones, you know, that I love them, but sometimes they make me dumb because I'm just doing this. And it's just so much stimulation. I don't think our brains can really keep up and evolve fast enough to deal with this. And you're in that beta, I call it the busy beta brain, and just bing, 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 your head is pinging off everything. And what happened to being present? What happened to that nice, calm, soothing breath? I think even a lot of us noticed when we were younger, before computers and just the speed at which we live today, life was a simpler life. And I certainly see that with my clients. I see the challenges that I could have if I didn't have these practices. Yeah. That's why they're such an essential part of my, they're more than routines for me. They're rituals. To me, they're sacred. They're what keep me in the ability to do all that I do and to show up fully present and serve, because I want to play a big role. Remember, I got a big deal that I got to follow up on here.
Yes.
Right.
So these arts, they get you out of that busy brain. They put you in alpha and get you into theta. They can help you go deep delta when you sleep. You're right. You're
Yes.
eliciting the parasympathetic, you're getting that amygdala, that fight or flight to get muted through the soothing breathing. Just even the sounds of your breath coordinated with the body, you're starting to bring that holistic movement and breath. It becomes a moving meditation. So you don't want to just calm your mind. You want your body to receive that information too. And of course, everything's connected. I think mind body is not right. It should be my body. Like, your mind's in your big foot, right? And your big foot's in your mind. They're completely connected. So when you're moving your body though with the meditation, it becomes so integrated, so back online together that it sticks. It's not like sitting on a pillow and just meditating, and then you get up and your old reactive patterns show up. You're training yourself to do this in physical world.
Yes.
And I believe that makes a big difference and a big impact when you start to embrace these arts.
I
Sure
totally
does.
agree. And this is one of those things that also these two things go together. The emotion is created by motion, and our motion creates our emotion. These two things are intertwined, and the more that it takes us out of a affirmation, which is great, into an incantation, which
Nice.
is the physical imbuing of those things into your tissues as you're moving. And we also know by, especially the past episodes, of how important movement is for so many other aspects of our life, for our focus, for our brain function, for detoxification, assimilation of nutrients. When you're moving and doing this process, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck. And one of the things that he mentioned, like, he's got a big mission here, thanks to his deal with the divine. I love how you phrase that. But the opposite, kind of the catalyst on the other end of the spectrum of not feeling really empowered to do the work he's doing, is depression. And I felt that this was important to share this study as well. There was one study done in conjunction with Harvard Medical School, and it was in a 3-month study evaluating 14 people who were offered 1-hour qigong courses twice a week and encouraged to practice at home. And they found that 60% of those people who took at least 15 classes saw a significant improvement in depression based on a standard rating scale. And this is Harvard University did this study, the Harvard University Medical School. And Albert Young, who is an associate professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, said, and he co-authored this study, and he co-authored the study, and he said that one theory behind why this is so effective is that qigong helps people to relax and combat stress, which tends to aggravate depression. So that stress that we've been talking about, that you can shift out of the sympathetic fight or flight system into the parasympathetic immediately within a few seconds of doing a qigong practice or meditation, you start to remove one of the biggest things that aggravate depression, which is stress. Super powerful stuff there.
So I have a question then, because many of us can relate to childhood trauma. There are studies that even rank how many different influences the trauma in your childhood can then in turn affect your adult life. As we talk about stress and trauma, how did qigong help with some of that deep-seated historical stress that had been in your system, in your psyche since your childhood?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Thank you, Jade. It's interesting. Sometimes when you start correcting things, other things drop away and you don't notice. It's not like you go to a therapist where you're like working on this issue, which sometimes feeds the issue, right? When you give it too much power. But when you correct things in the body and the mind connection, stuff naturally shifts. There's a statement in the world of energy medicine that says the root cause of all negative emotions is a disruption in your energy system. That's a very interesting, I'll say it again. The root cause of negative emotions is a disruption in your energy system. So what does that mean? Well, you have these channels that flow through your body that the acupuncturists work with and manipulate. They're called meridians. It's which your energy flows through. We could talk about this on a chemical level and all the hormones that are affected, but we could also look at it through the energetics, like Shawn was bringing up. We've got an energy body. Rub your feet on the carpet and go touch something metal, and you get that, you're a conductor of this energy. So if there's a disruption or even a block, it can cause not only problems in the physical body, but it can affect your mood. It can cause emotional angst. And so for me, what I was doing, I was tapping. When you do qigong, there are taps that you tap all the different areas of the body where these points, they're called meridian points. And when you stimulate them or percuss them, it starts to create a flow of the energy through the body, and it can help correct disruptions and clear blockages. So that may be one thing that could be causing people's emotional distress. I found that if I focused on the things that were bothering me while I did the qigong, it actually cleared them out faster. Or I will say that the charge that I felt around particular topics, people who you felt had wronged you, or situations that didn't go the way you wanted, when you're just flowing and you're breathing and you're moving and you're getting your energies lined back up, it tends to pull the charge out of it. And you can think about the thing that tended to emotionally bother you, but now the charge is gone. So it's not that the thought goes away, but the negative emotion shifts. So that, I believe, is a powerful aspect of working with the qigong.
Very
Definitely.
powerful, yeah.
Yes, this is some principles that's in psychology as well, and psychiatry even, of essentially you're scratching up that CD, because we've got this way that we play our memories, right? And we'll play them over and over again and we'll color them with our updated knowledge about what should have happened differently, what I should have said, what I should have done. Well, you can virtually scratch up that CD so it doesn't play that same song anymore, that
Nice.
sad song where you're the victim, and you can change that by moving, actually, which is so funny enough. But of course, that can be done through other therapies. But this one is something that you have this body for a reason, and this is a great opportunity because it's a channel for so much more than what we're privy to in our common paradigm, this very interesting time that we're living at with our medical community, where it's kind of in the dark ages, and we're moving out of that now very quickly, thanks to all of the information that's getting out there, thanks to podcasts, and thanks to the advent of the internet. It's really changing the game and changing a lot of people's focus. But there's so many people who don't know about this, and even these wonderful studies that I'm sharing today in relationship to qigong, which is, and I'm going to have Tristan talk about it a little bit more and explain what it is a little bit more. But a lot of people probably have heard of Tai Chi, at least, because it's in some rap songs even, But
there you go. That qualifies.
So it's this, as he mentioned, it's this moving meditation, this very gentle moving meditation. And there was a study published in the Journal of Human Hypertension that found that Qigong is an effective treatment for reversing the symptoms of hypertension. All right. So again, I didn't say a pill. Hey, guys, there's a new pill. Hey, guys, there's this 2,000-year-old form of martial arts that can reverse your hypertension. You want to try it? Well, yes. Okay, say yes. All right. The pill is really a cop-out, and again, it's treating the symptom and not addressing the underlying cause. And also in that same study, they found that it was also effective at enhancing weight loss. How is that happening? Because you're not like beating yourself into a pulp with some crazy exercise. You're putting yourself in the rest and digest phase of reality. You're switching onto your parasympathetic nervous system, and the more that you can be in that state, right, to recover your body, that's where the change happens. You get more anabolic, right? The other stage is catabolic. You're breaking yourself down. You can actually regenerate and rebuild those tissues that help you to have a higher metabolism. It's like magic, but it's just tapping into something that truly works. So on that note, Tristan, can you explain a little bit more about what Qigong actually is?
Yeah, for sure. And in fact, I'll tag on the back of the weight loss to segue into that. And it's interesting because I see students losing or releasing weight, if you will, when they practice these arts. And it's not like going to the gym doing a big cardio thing. What's going on, I think, is our bodies are hungry for energy, not just food. We're trying to get the energy out of the food. The life force is in the food, right? And if we're not assimilating it and getting good, healthy nutrition, we're still hungry.
Yeah.
So now what if your body's getting the life force through other ways? You talked in the pre-roll about getting it through the mouth and what we put into the tube.
Right.
But you can absorb like a tree, and I'm not trying to get woo-woo, but you can absorb through, like you talked about the skin and the coconut oil. Well, there's that photosynthesis we all know about, where you're taking the light, right, the tree, and it brings it in and turns it into energy. Well, what if we have that capacity too, through moving our body and getting our energy flowing, that That's one aspect of qigong. It's maybe the more esoteric part, that you're absorbing energy from your environment. This is why people who have illnesses or cancers, they go to learn qigong and they practice in a garden.
Yeah.
Beautiful area where their eyes are eating the beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Their ears are eating the sounds of the birds and the wind rustling through the trees and the water. Like, we're absorbing. If you've got your cell phone too close to your body, or you're around power lines, what's happening? Zzz, you're disrupting your energy body. So your body is receiving signals. So if you're doing movements that create harmony in your energy system, maybe, just maybe, you can absorb energy like a tree does into you. So that's one way of looking at how Qigong works. Perhaps a little more esoteric, but still worth investigating for yourself. The other is what's going on inside. So we've talked about fight or flight and eliciting the relaxation response. That's a no-brainer. We get that from meditation studies. We understand that the sound of the breath and the just calming of the mind and getting into alpha, you're going to start releasing the happy chemicals. Your body's going to respond to that. But now when you're moving and you're working with these channels, right? What happens when you have stress, which gets interpreted as tension in the muscle tissue, it's squeezing down on the healthy flow of that life force. Kind of think like a stream that's flowing and there's a lot of debris in it, or trees fallen, and then that water can't flow anymore, right? But if you can open that up, then the water, if you will, can flow. Or like a hose, if you put a hose and you turn it on and then you put a rock on it, that water can't flow as well. Or you kink the hose, it can't come through. But now as you're doing these gentle stretches with Qigong and you're literally releasing the tension out of the muscle tissue, the energy opens up, the channel opens, and it flows in a healthy fashion. And all of a sudden you start to feel more energized.
Yeah.
And it's not just hyper energy. It's the kind of energy where your body is naturally in its normal state, which does lend itself, I believe, to maintaining a healthy weight. It lends itself to having energy to be productive during the day. And it also lends itself to balanced energy so that you sleep well at night. I sleep like a baby. And I really believe that Qigong has played a huge role in that because the energy is flowing correctly.
Yes, love it, man. And I can attest to all of those things and seeing it firsthand. And, right now it's so interesting because whenever I talk to you, it's strange because just watching the videos, doing Qigong with you, and then I've also taken that practice and, I'll go out into the backyard, same thing, and do those movements. And it's not like drinking a Red Bull. I got wings now, it's like this very subtle, but you feel more like yourself. Like I feel capable. I feel capable to do everything that I have ahead of me. It's kind of hard to describe, but I think you know what I mean. And it's real. It's something within you. And we just generated that by working with our body and doing these simple movements. And so some of the other clinically proven things are what we just said, a reversal of chronic fatigue syndrome is a great study on that. Increased mobility and range of motion, which Tristan was able to see firsthand for sure. A reduction of pain and inflammation. When he talked about opening up those channels, it's very simple. Inflammation takes place when your capillaries, when your lymphatic system, when there are these blockades set up in your system due to whatever, this could be from things in your environment, things you've ingested, to stressful thoughts and leading to bigger particles of cholesterol or whatever the case may be. And also to piggyback on that photosynthesis thing, we do that.
Yeah.
We turn sunlight into vitamin D. We convert cholesterol into vitamin D. Like we're walking trees.
Yes.
All right. We're
like that.
we are all I am Groot. All right. Let's say it together. I am Groot. I'm just kidding. So super powerful stuff and some great insights here. So Tristan, can you talk a little bit about because what I was doing initially and what we talked about way back on episode 20 was the good morning, good evening Qigong course that you did along with the incredible Peter Ragnar. But now what I've been doing lately is the flow form Qigong course that you have. And I love it. It's beautiful in and of itself, but having you teach the small, intricate parts and then going through the practice was so awesome. So tell us a little bit about that course.
This is what I was working on when I had that Qigong teacher who agreed to be my mentor. And so he was teaching me things that his master level teachers had shown him from China. And there were all these different cool exercises. And so I would go home, and I was working on my back initially because that was the main area for me. But I found over time, learning how to flow them together, and I call it the flow form, that I could create a routine that was time efficient. Because a lot of the stuff I was doing would take like 60, 90 minutes, 2 hours. And that's a lot of training. And most folks don't have that much time. And I wanted something just to maintain what I was receiving from Qigong. So I took a lot of the movements and I strung them together, and I created these three routines that all create the flow form. And you had mentioned that program with Peter Ragnar. That really was, and I love that program. It's a great starting program for people who maybe they've never done qigong before, or they're pretty injured. And we have folks who can't even stand very well that can do that because the movements are very linear in motion. They're just sort of up and down and front to back. And powerful, wonderful qigong. This one has a lot more rotations in it. It has more for all the joints, the elbows, the hips, the knees, the back. It's a little more athletic if you want it to be. You can drop down into some pretty deep stances. You can get a workout doing the flow form, but at the same time, you get a really healthy stretch. The twisting is great for your spine, and it works on your shoulders, your neck. And what I found after doing the initial Qigong in my life was pain went away. So that was layer one for me, getting out of pain. I used to have to walk around with a big pillow wherever I went, and my wife and I, would just have to try to find a comfortable chair for me to sit in, or driving in the car. I had to change my car just to get a chair that I could sit in comfortably. So pain was a constant. Now I could sit in chairs again, and I didn't have to carry my pillow around, but I couldn't teach. I couldn't teach yet because my tissues and my muscles had been so jacked up over 5 years of being tight and shut down. And a lot of people have that if they have sedentary lifestyle, or maybe you were an athlete in the past and you had injuries, they just haven't been healed yet, or you just haven't been moving the way that you used to when you were younger, and you want to get your body back again. So the flow form's designed to gently level you up to being more physical. I use it in my warm-ups for my hardcore workouts because of the circular movements, and I use it as a cool down as well. So it's about 15, 16 minutes to do the whole routine, and that's the backstory behind how it was created and why it was created.
Nice.
Love it. Yes. And of course, I'm loving the program as well. And man, I mean, the program before the Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong with Peter, that became a part of my life. I did that daily for a very, very long stretch. And then, of course, I got into the experimentation with all the sleep research. And so I stopped doing it until recently. I started this new program, the Flow Form. And wow, yeah, like you just said, I mean, you just broke it down. There's a lot more. I was surprised at how much more turning and moving. And it was more of what I learned firsthand working with Sensei Shangao that I used to work with in the park, which is so great. I'm thinking about that Bambi scene again. Really happened. So it's just really powerful and a great, really great resource for people to tap into. And we'll give connections to both of those programs for people to check out, of course.
Excellent.
But before that, man, I know that you've got this big mission and you've already described it a little bit, but I'd like to hear it in a more concentrated form. So I'm going to ask you, what is the model that you're here to set with the way that you're living your life?
Thank you for that. Yes, to that. So our company is called Satori Method, and that word is a beautiful word. It means to awaken yourself, but not in a spiritual snob kind of way. I'm so awake and they're not. It's more like, how do you live an awakened life where you're really showing up present to yourself and to others by taking care of your body, your mind, and your spirit. And there's a beautiful dance to integrate those aspects of ourselves. And I find that if I stay true to a lifestyle, if you will, of eating healthy, sleeping right, moving my body, getting my head screwed on straight, doing all those things, when I bring my mind and body into alignment, and in the martial arts we do it like this, you have this power, this strength of the body, and you have this wisdom of the mind, and when you bring the two together, you are a balanced artist. And as far as the fighter goes, you never open up the power unless the wisdom says use this power in this way. And the way I look at it is now when you bring the mind and body back online together, you activate this energy. And I just would call that a spiritual knowing or an ability to navigate and direct your life as consciously as you possibly can. So my mission, if you will, is to help people bring their mind and body back online. Super efficient, easy, fun exercises and programs for that. And then at the end of the day, just show up more present so you can take care of your children, you can take care of your family or whoever you choose to serve, but you're doing it from a really healthy, joyful, awakened place. So that's what we're all about.
Bro, thank you so much for sharing that, my man. I truly appreciate who you are and what you stand for and the quality that you put into your work. And I've learned a lot from you. And, I probably haven't explained that or shared that enough, but I just appreciate you for what you're doing. And so where can people get hooked up with this new program, with the Flow Form qigong?
Definitely go and check out satorimethod.com. And that slash that you put right there, write the word after it, model. And that is where I would go to check out what Shawn is hooking you up with. So we've created something for you. And Shawn is just such a brother, a dear friend, and a fellow, what would you call it, man? What would I call you? A fellow brother who's got a purpose and a mission that's very in alignment with us. And so what we did was we created something for your friends to be able to take everything we just shared today and make it their own. And so that's what's up at satorimethod.com/model.
Yes, guys.
Perfect.
So check it out. It's SATORI method.com/model. And I got Tristan to hook us up a little bit,
Yes.
because of the relationship. And I think this is just such a great resource. And, it's become a part of my daily life. It was for many years, but now getting recharged with this program, it's just gotten me back on board in a big way. And it's something that's just a, 5 or 10 minute practice you can implement. Of course, you could do other things. You can implement a little bit longer, but that's all you need. And you actually do notice the results. And I've already shared some of the studies. We don't need another pill. We need to learn how to utilize the internal power that we all have. Just even moving, we generate what's known as piezoelectricity just from moving, but if you're not moving, if you're dormant, you're stagnant, that electricity, that energy that you have that would be imbued into your tissues starts to diminish by nature.
And I take that as all tissues. Like he said, your eyes were hungry, your ears were hungry. So all of that is also something that you want to strive to take in.
Absolutely. So I appreciate you so much, man, for coming on the show again. It's been about time that this happened, and many, many more conversations and great things we're going to do in the future for sure. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. And remember, my man here was walking around, grown man walking around with a pillow.
Right.
All right.
Crawling to the
walking
bathroom.
around with a pillow. And people are just like, you're not a child? Or you're not going to a pillow fight? What's up with the pillow, bro? And he let go of the pillow. He stopped being Linus from the Peanuts, carrying around, by him implementing this. And, to see what he can do today is just remarkable, and the impact that he's making on so many lives. And again, it's just by learning how to utilize these ancient yet brand new principles that we all have access to, and especially I'm just going to give a special shout out to everybody listening who might consider themselves a busy-minded person. Like, I've just got a lot of thoughts. We call that clinically inner chatter. I've got a lot of inner chatter. I truly feel that a moving meditation can be a really great on-ramp for you versus trying to sit cross-legged and calm your brain down. This is something that, a special shout out to you guys. Give this a shot. Try some qigong, add that into your daily experience. Learn from the best. Tristan's he's one of the best out there in the world doing this, and he's made it so simple to implement, and I truly do appreciate that.
Wonderful.
So head over and check it out.
Powerful and compassionate.
satorimethod.com/model. That's satorimethod.com/model. Check it out there. Again, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Let this be a special call to action, and remembering always that it doesn't matter where you are right now. You can improve. Things can get better. We've got to cut away from the story, from the excuses, from the things that historically have been holding us back, and open those new doors. All right. And a big part of that is opening up ourselves to taking action and to being our greatest version. All right. Because that is possible. Take care. Have an amazing day. And I'll talk with you soon.